Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. Today I'm doing a comparison and overview between the GeForce GTX 960 and the new GeForce GTX 1060 graphics cards. Is it worth upgrading from a 960 to a 1060? How much performance difference is there? And is there any reason to still consider buying a 960? We'll cover all that today. First of all, I have previously done individual videos on both of these graphics cards. Links to both of those will be in the video description below. Please go check those out. As far as performance goes, let me talk about that first. The performance difference between these cards is huge. Not just a little bit, but a lot. It is rare that you will see a jump of this magnitude in one product generation. Usually you have to wait several to get this kind of jump. How much? Well, I will post additional numbers here as I am talking, but allow me to give you one specific example right now. Grand Theft Auto 5, Full HD or 1080p resolution, Ultra Max detail, everything set to very high. On the 960, you can expect to get about 35 frames per second average. On the new 1060, 70 frames per second average. It's double. That's not a small increase. It is double the performance of the 960. When I first used this, I was blown away by the performance. It's a whole new card. To go in just one product generation from a 960 to a 1060 and have it outright double the performance, I actually can't remember the last time a graphics card did that. I'm sure at some point it has, but I don't remember. It has been a long, long time. The 1060 is a beast, and for $260, it may very well be the best price to performance card of any price available on the market today. The amount of performance you get for the $260 is just incredible. So if you have a 960 and you're thinking of upgrading, yes, it's not double in every game. Keep in mind, I should point that out. On average, I'd say it's about 80%. Fallout 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider, The Witcher 3 are closer to 80% jump rather than 100% jump. But honestly, 80% jump is an incredible performance jump. I would say that the 1060 is very similar in performance to the older GTX 980 card, which they were just selling a few months ago for $500. So you're basically getting what 3 months ago was a $500 card for $260. That's a screaming deal. It's a small single fan card that runs very cool. If you have a 960, take it out, plug this in its place. It'll work exactly the same in any computer a 960 is installed in. Amazing, amazing performance. So having said that, as I said at the beginning of this video, would anybody consider buying a 960? Maybe. Depends on what price you can find it for. Almost everything's a deal at the right price. New, these are still pretty expensive, and I wouldn't buy one of these new until the price comes down, assuming it ever does. But used, you can now find 960s in the $125 to $135 price range. At that price range, if you are on a budget and you don't have the $260 to buy a 1060, at $125, yeah, I would still recommend a 960. Yes, it's half the performance, close to it, of the 1060, but at half the price, fair enough. That seems like a fair deal to me. So if you're putting together a budget machine, take a look on Amazon and on eBay. I will put links in the description below to search results pre-sorted by lowest price, especially on eBay, because usually you can find used stuff for less on eBay. If you can find one of these for $125 or less, or hopefully maybe even at $100, yeah, if you have a 2, 3, 4-year-old graphics card, if you have maybe an entry-level card or maybe no graphics card at all, nothing at all wrong with a 960 at somewhere in the $125 range. But don't pay $200 for it. That would be crazy. If you're thinking about going above that level, then a 1060 would be my main recommendation, because a GTX 1060 will play all current games at max detail at 1080p at 60 frames per second or better, and it'll play an awful lot of the current games at 1440p at either high or very high detail, also at 60 frames a second. I mentioned that the 1060 would play Grand Theft Auto 5 at very high detail at 1080p at 70 frames per second. If you bring the detail down one notch from very high to high, and you go up to 1440p resolution, you'll get 65 frames per second out of it. Whereas the 960 won't run it at 1440p at all because it doesn't have enough VRAM. There's 2 gigabytes of video memory on the 960 versus 6 gigabytes on the 1060. Having said all of that, consider something else. If you currently own a 960 and you can sell it for $125 and buy a 1060, you've gotten half your money back. That's not a bad deal to double your performance. As far as value for your money, it's the 1060. Now, cards above it are nice, the 1070 and the 1080, and people look at those and go, wow, that looks fast and that looks fancy. But the reality is this is the bang for your buck. The amount of frames per second, the amount of performance you get for the 1060 per dollar spent is more than the higher end cards. They cost more money for a little bit less performance for the money. Great card, I love it. I'm very excited because this card fits into pre-built systems, small custom machines, in small enclosed spaces. You don't need a big card with lots of air cooling to cool this. This will fit in almost anything that a full size slot card will go into. Is there anything the 1060 is missing from the 960? 2 things, and I want to talk about both of them. First of all, there is no SLI connector. They have gotten rid of SLI. The 960, you could put 2 of them together into 2-way scalable link interface and combine 2 cards into 1. I don't think very many people ever did that. I don't think this is a big deal. You can see my protective cover has never been removed. I just can't imagine very many people do that. If you wanted more performance than a 960, you bought a 970 or a 980. And likewise, if you want more performance than a 1060, buy a 1070 or a 1080. Those make more sense. So the SLI connector is gone. SLI support is only on the 1070 and 1080. The other change that has been made is the ports. Now, there were custom versions of 960s and 970s that had different ports, but the standard configuration on a 960 was 1 DisplayPort, 1 HDMI port, and 2 DVI ports. One of these DVI ports, this is an important point, one of these DVI ports is a DVI-D and one is a DVI-I. What's the difference? DVI-D is digital only. It can only be connected to a digital monitor. VGA not apply. But the DVI-I port could use a small adapter that would convert the DVI port to a VGA port to allow you to connect an analog monitor or projector to the card. The circuitry within the card that allows the adapter to work and that allows it to connect to VGA is gone in the 1060, and the ports have been changed. Every single one of these I've seen is the same now. 3 display ports, 1 HDMI port, and 1 DVI-D port. The DVI to VGA adapters will not work in this. So if you have a 960 and you have it connected to a VGA-only monitor using an adapter, you cannot upgrade to a 1060. It won't work. You'll need to replace your monitor. I don't think that's a large segment of the market. In 2016, most people probably don't have those anymore. But if you do, be aware VGA monitors need not apply. But I like the configuration. It's cleaned it up a bit. They've gotten rid of one of the ports. They've got 3 display ports. If by chance you want to hook up multiple monitors, you have a lot better choices now. Those display ports basically can be anything. You can get cables that are DisplayPort on one end and then either DVI or HDMI on the other. So you could hook up 3 HDMI monitors, 1 to the HDMI port and 2 to the display ports if you wanted a multi-monitor configuration. It works really, really nicely. Both cards have a 6-pin PCI Express power connector, so they'll work with any 300 or greater watt power supply using the included adapter. I'm very, very happy with this new card. I will link to this 1060, this SuperClocked card, in the video description below to both Amazon and NewEgg. Take a look and see who's got it in stock. It should be $260. Don't pay over that for it. If you go there, you may also see the non-SuperClocked version for $10 less at $250. Don't buy it. It is 100 megahertz slower. It's clocked lower. This SuperClocked means it's clocked faster. It performs better. But the cooler is different. It looks the same, but it's different. The slower card runs hotter than the SuperClocked card does. It runs faster and cooler because this is actually a superior cooler. For $10 difference, there is no reason to buy the non-SuperClocked card, so don't do it. Make sure you get the SuperClocked card. For the 960, I'll link to both Amazon and NewEgg on it because prices will drop over time, and if they lower the price to $150 or $140 for a brand new one, it might be worth considering. I'll also link to eBay for it if you can find one for under $125 or so used and you're at that budget price point. It's still worth at least considering. So, what'd you think? Was this video helpful? Click like. Was it not? Well, you know what to do. Remember to subscribe to my channel. It's the big, huge red button right down there. Subscribing will get you notifications to new videos coming out, including live game performance videos I'll be doing on the 1060 very soon. Questions, comments, thoughts, feedback, suggestions, put those in the video below the video description in the comments box. Let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree? Do you have a 960? Do you have the older 760 card? If you do, it's really time to upgrade, especially if you want to play new and modern games at good performance. Let me know what you think. And as always, if you like my channel, if you like my videos, if you want to support me and see more videos like this, please use the links in the video description below. They will support me, and I would be very, very grateful and appreciative if you would consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.